Thank God for the Group Chat is a Fresh Air Media production. This episode was recorded Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. The news and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Fresh Air Media or any other entities they represent. The events discussed may have changed by the time you hear this. This bonus episode of Thank God for the Group Chat will start in approximately 30 seconds. Yeah, so we're not going off the cuff we're not going off the cuff on this episode, but it is a little bit more relaxed because it's just me, and it's been a while since I just talked to you guys by myself. And if I'm being honest, I am the heart and soul of this podcast, and so sometimes you guys just want to hear from me, and I completely understand that. So with that said, welcome to the adventures of Robe the Machine and his unpopular opinion. If you have not subscribed to this podcast in any way, it is my job to inform you that we are wherever you find your podcast, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And of January 3rd, we are on Patreon as our main platform. So wherever you hear, if you're hearing this and you're not on Patreon, you are not getting all that you can get from this podcast. You're not even getting all that you can get from this episode. We are literally have condensed these episodes. And so if you're not hearing it on Patreon, you're not getting all that you can get. And we do that so that we can support the people that support us, right? So if they're listening to this, the patrons on Patreon, they get, they get full access to this whole episode. They get full access to background noise. Background noise will no longer be on any podcast platform. It will solely be on Patreon because we are talking about some really deep stuff and some really personal stuff on there. I really recommend that you guys take heed to that. What else are we doing? There's so much more going on Patreon that I won't even get into now. I'll get into it later, but I just wanted to plug that. Let's talk about what's going on in the NBA with all this COVID protocol stuff and what I think is going to happen. So right now, the NBA, they got all of these players in COVID protocol, and what is happening is you got a lot of cats coming from different universes back into back into the NBA. You got Isaiah Thomas, you got Joe Johnson. The Heat just called up Mario Chalmers as if this was 2013. Yes, I did say it. Mario Chalmers is now back in the NBA on a 10-day contract. What I think is going to happen is that the NBA and the WNBA are going to merge. They don't have enough people in order to keep this thing afloat. What they are not going to do, speaking of float, what they are not going to do is go back into the bubble. So everybody stop saying it. They're not going back into a bubble. They're not doing that. They lost a lot of money doing that. They're not doing that. What they will do is go 50% at the events. What they will do is call up all of these players that got NBA experience, but probably shouldn't be in the NBA. And I'm not going to say Isaiah Thomas shouldn't be in the NBA. He just scored 42 points in the G League and just had 19 points in his Lakers re-debut. But yeah, it's crazy out here. They just traded Rajon Rondo to the Cavaliers. Yeah, it's a lot going on. In my opinion, they traded the wrong point guard, but I get it. Not enough money. He costs way too much money. All of that type of stuff. Klay Thompson, I'm eagerly waiting for him to make his re-entrance and re-entry into the NBA and not the NBA, into games and playing official games. That is all I'm waiting on. It's jacking up my league pass because they got all of these daggone games on NBA TV thinking that Klay is going to be back, and he ain't back yet. I think the Warriors are going to win it all. If they stay healthy enough, that they are going to win it all. And I do agree with Draymond when he says that the Warriors don't need Klay Thompson to be Klay Thompson of old for them to do what they need to do. I don't think so. And I personally don't think that Klay is going to be 100% this year. I think at 70% will be good. Maybe 15 points a game, we'd be straight. 15 points a game. We just need Clay to be like 75% of who he used to be this year. We don't need all of the defense and all of that type of stuff. We don't expect you to move like that. We don't. Russell Westbrook, man. Russell Westbrook needs to go. Russell Westbrook, I don't even think he needs to go. I think Russell Westbrook needs to come off the bench. I think he needs to come off the bench, be the sixth man off the bench, and play about 20 to 30 minutes a game. 25 to 30 minutes a game. I don't think that he should be starting. They do not gel well. He is not a pure point guard. He's not a point guard at all. He makes really stupid decisions. He's a shoot first point guard. He's all about his stats and all of that type of stuff. So I think you bring him off the bench. But what's going to happen is Russell Westbrook says, I get paid $95 million a year or whatever crazy crazy contract he has. I get paid $90 million a year. I'm not coming off the bench, and that's his ego. I'm all about the team. You're not all about the team. You won't come off the bench. So it will never work in LA. And I really hope LA misses the playoffs because I do not want LeBron to even have a chance at catching Kobe and passing Kobe. That's just how I am. That's just how I feel about it. I do think that LeBron is, and what's the word I'm trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Bold prediction here. I think LeBron is on the downside of his career. Ta-da. Surprise, surprise, 37 years old as of, I think he turned 37 the other day on the 28th. He's on the downside and he's at a decline. People dunking on LeBron now. When LeBron would have swatted stuff and knocked stuff out of the air and all of that, they dunking on him now. And they highlights. But LeBron's still getting his points and all that, but he cannot will a team to a win the way that he used to. He had 30-something points the other night. And they still lost the game. He had like 37 or something like that. They lost the game. So what's going on in the NBA is crazy. The whole world is crazy. The whole world is upside down right now. The Nets is losing to the teams they shouldn't be losing to. Kyrie Irving, he's out of COVID protocol, and apparently he ain't been practicing none. I guess he thought he wasn't gonna play this year, so he could take this year off. They just now showing him practicing and stuff. I get you couldn't practice with the team, but bro, you wasn't staying in shape until they called you up. So, but I'm glad to see Kyrie playing, and I'm glad to see that he held his ground. He still won't be able to play. He still won't be able to play home games just because of the state of New York. If you're not vaccinated, you cannot participate in pretty much anything. And so that's that on that. We're looking to have the group chat back sometime in February. Man, a lot of surprises and gearing up for that. For real, for real. Not a lie, not a joke. And if you are a patron on Patreon, you will get all of those updates before anyone else. And I'm going to keep plugging that. All of our full episodes will be on Patreon. All of our full episodes will be on Patreon. If you are listening to this on any podcast platform, you are not getting the full episode. If you are listening to any of this on YouTube, you are not getting the full episode. So go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/ thank God for the group chat to subscribe to subscribe to listen to the full versions of the podcast for only $1 a month to start. We have more tiers on Patreon up to $5 a month. But if you are unsure, please start at the thankful and groupie tiers, which are our $1 and $2 tiers. For updates like these, don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to Fresh Air Media on YouTube for all of our upcoming content. If you're not a patron, you'll find out all of this stuff just not nearly as fast and not nearly as early as the patrons do. The patrons even get early access to stuff. There's so much going on at Patreon that y'all are getting the short end of the stick. We really would like y'all to come on over, but if not, we appreciate y'all right where y'all are. And it's fine as long as y'all participating. But if you want more, trust and believe that there's more.